On November 10, 2025, Donald Trump, now both former and current US president, has launched a billion-dollar lawsuit against the BBC. The dispute centers on a BBC documentary aired before the 2024 election, which Trump claims manipulated his speech and damaged his reputation. Trump's legal team alleges the BBC's editing influenced the election's outcome, sparking a transatlantic media firestorm. The ultimatum: retract the documentary, issue a public apology, and pay $1 billion in damages, or face a defamation suit in Florida. At the heart of the controversy is an edit by BBC's Panorama, which Trump's lawyers say was fundamentally dishonest. The fallout has triggered a crisis within the BBC and ignited a global debate about media accountability. This isn't just about Trump or the BBC. It's about the power and responsibility of the press in shaping public perception. The case forces us to question how news is reported, regulated, and trusted in a polarized world. As the deadline looms, the outcome could redefine the relationship between political power and the media. The stakes, not just reputations, but the very nature of truth in the digital age. The world is watching as this billion-dollar showdown unfolds. The controversy began with a crucial editorial choice by BBC's Panorama. The program spliced together separate lines from Trump's January 6 speech, presenting them as a single, forceful call to action. The edit omitted Trump's peacefully and patriotically remark, instead highlighting "fight like hell." Trump's team claims this created a false impression of incitement, transforming a political speech into apparent provocation. The BBC's decision to condense for clarity crossed into distortion, critics argue. This case now stands as a cautionary tale in documentary ethics. Where does editing end and misrepresentation begin? The omission has forced the BBC to confront its own standards and the consequences of editorial choices. Trump's lawyers, led by Alejandro Brito, sent the BBC a non-negotiable demand: retract the documentary, issue a prominent public apology, and pay $1 billion in damages. The apology must match the documentary's visibility, no quiet statements, but a headline admission of error. The financial demand is both compensation and punishment, reflecting the alleged impact on Trump's reputation and the election. The timing of the broadcast, just before the 2024 election, is cited as evidence of intent to sway voters. The BBC has until Friday to comply, or Trump's team will file a defamation suit in Florida. The choice of Florida is strategic, but Trump must prove actual malice, a high bar for public figures. The ultimatum has cornered the BBC, forcing a decision with massive financial and reputational stakes. This is no routine correction. It's a high-stakes battle over truth, power, and accountability. The world awaits the BBC's response as the deadline approaches. The outcome could set a precedent for media responsibility in the digital era. The BBC responded quickly, with Chairman Samir Shah admitting the Panorama edit was a serious error. While apologizing for the mistake, Shah denied any institutional bias, calling it an isolated lapse. The fallout was immediate. Director General Tim Davie and News Chief Deborah Turness resigned, signalling a crisis at the top. Their departures followed a leaked report criticizing the BBC's editorial standards during the US election. The documentary was quietly removed from BBC iPlayer, a tacit admission of failure. Critics see this as proof of guilt. Supporters fear a chilling effect on journalism. Officially, the BBC is reviewing the legal threat and promises a direct response, avoiding public escalation. The corporation now faces a defining test of its integrity and future. The stakes: journalistic standards, leadership, and a billion-dollar legal threat. Central to Trump's case is the charge of election interference. He claims the BBC's edit was a deliberate attempt to sway the 2024 US election, not a simple journalistic error. Trump amplified this on Truth Social, linking BBC resignations to the alleged plot against him. His legal team argues the edit turned news into political propaganda, meeting the actual malice standard for defamation. Proving intent will be their biggest challenge in court. The BBC denies political motivation, but the accusation has fueled partisan outrage and deepened distrust in mainstream media. The dispute has become a flashpoint in the battle over media influence in democracy. Two narratives collide. Trump's team calls it defamation and a calculated attack. The BBC insists it was a regrettable editorial mistake. Trump's lawyers point to the selective editing as proof of intent to mislead and harm. They argue the documentary's timing and content were designed to damage Trump's reputation and influence the election. The $1 billion demand reflects the scale of alleged harm. The BBC admits a serious error but frames it as human judgment, not malice or conspiracy. They stress the difference between a mistake and a lie, citing thousands of editorial decisions made daily. Leadership resignations are presented as accountability, not evidence of a political plot. The legal battle will hinge on intent. Was it a calculated falsehood or a lapse in judgment? The outcome could redefine the boundaries of journalistic error and defamation. The world is watching as the case tests the limits of press freedom and responsibility. To understand the dispute, we revisit Trump's January 6th speech at the Save America rally. Trump's address was fiery, repeatedly urging supporters to fight like hell, a line the BBC emphasized. Yet, he also said, peacefully and patriotically, a phrase omitted by the BBC, but present in the speech. The January 6th committee found this line was added by speechwriters, while Trump focused on more combative rhetoric. After the speech, the crowd marched to the Capitol, leading to violence and chaos. Many rioters cited Trump's words as motivation, while his defenders point to the peaceful line as evidence of no intent for violence. The BBC's selective edit has become a flashpoint in interpreting Trump's intent and the media's role in shaping that narrative. The controversy underscores the power and peril of editorial choices in moments of crisis. This incident spotlights the immense power and responsibility of editorial decisions in journalism. The BBC case shows how editing for clarity can cross into distortion, especially during elections. News organizations have a duty to inform accurately and impartially. Any manipulation erodes public trust. The BBC's edit, whether intentional or not, has fueled claims of media bias and damaged credibility. The controversy forces a reckoning. Is it ever ethical to splice together lines for dramatic effect? Transparency and swift correction are vital when mistakes occur, but rebuilding trust is far harder. This episode will be studied as a warning about the consequences of sacrificing nuance for narrative. In the end, every editorial cut carries weight, especially when democracy is at stake. As the legal battle unfolds, the deeper issue is trust in news. The BBC's error has shaken confidence in media institutions worldwide. Accountability and transparency are essential for rebuilding that trust. News organizations must explain their decisions and correct mistakes openly. Audiences, too, must practice media literacy, seeking multiple sources and questioning narratives. The truth is rarely simple. Nuance matters more than ever. This case is a reminder: facts, context, and integrity are the foundation of democracy. The outcome will echo far beyond Trump and the BBC, shaping the future of journalism and public trust.